Hello guys and thank you for joining me. My name is Evgen and today we are looking at another sort of controversial fountain pen from Moonman or Mahjong, the Moonman F9. What I like to consider an homage to the Montblanc Rouge Noir fountain pen. Now I'm not gonna go into the controversy part of the pen. Many before me have done that and it's pointless to go there. As to how right or wrong morally this is, I'll leave that decision up to you. I'm just gonna look at the pen as is, and I'm not gonna compare it with the Montblanc that is more than $1,000 Canadian fountain pen that I don't even own. With that aside, I bought the fountain pen mostly because of the snake motif. As I have shown so far, I kind of like snakes, and anything like this in a fountain pen is just bound to grab my attention. So basically, the fountain pen it's very similar in shape and size, with its Mont Blanc counterpart, as far as I know, and from the pictures that I've seen. The only differences are that basically you won't get the Mont Blanc logo, you will get I guess sort of a Moonman logo. And however, in their first version they still had the snake clip, and this one comes with the snake nib as well. Weight and dimensions are in the description if you're curious about it. Mostly the pen it's very straight, and end barrel and finial for the pen are rounded off. The clip, it's basically a snake that is coiled around the cap. However, unfortunately this clip it's a little bit kind of useless. It doesn't move, it's really stiff. As a demonstration, you can definitely slide it in a shirt, and this is what you'll get out of your shirt. And removing it, it's a little bit stiff, but it works. It doesn't seem like it damaged the cloth. The cap, it's twist cap, and it takes a little bit of turns to actually untwist it. I can't do it in one move like I usually do. I need about 1.25 of this twisting moving. Or if you really want to count it, 1, 2, 3 turns. And once you remove that, you will be greeted by a fairly small section with threads at the end, and that cute number 5 nib with a snake motif on it. I'm not sure what type of snake this is supposed to be. Based on how it's called, I assume it's supposed to be some sort of constrictor, but it's definitely not a boa or a python because he only has pretty much one plate between the eyes. Things that are unfortunate about the fountain pen is that you are not able to open the barrel. Unfortunately, this apparently has a trapped converter, and you kind of basically use it as a piston fountain pen, but it's actually a converter that it's inside the pen, and unfortunately there's no way to get to it. So if by any chance this will ever go bad, you're kind of out of luck. However, most probably you can salvage the nib, because based on that feed, it looks like it's using a Schmidt feed. That's definitely not a Schmidt collar. Anyway, that is not removable, that is glued in place as well. But that's definitely a number 5 nib, and most probably can be salvaged if this pen fails for whatever reasons. Now the pen does post quite securely actually. I'm surprised about it, even though it just gets the tip basically. However, you can easily kind of twist that converter, it also, as you can see, it doesn't really sit straight on the pen. And for that reason, most probably I'm not going to enjoy using this posted. Not to mention also the fact that does backweights the pen quite a lot, and I don't like that. Balance wise, posted is about here, and unposted it's a little bit more balanced in the middle. And I will most probably use this pen unposted. Section seems to be a little bit slippery, but I think I can make it, depending on how well the nib will behave on the paper. And that's pretty much the pen. Nothing else I could add about it. I mean, the only other thing that I could say is that I paid around 30 Canadian dollars and 33 cents, and that was a couple of months back. I'm not sure if you can still find this style because they've changed this. They don't have the snake motif anymore. They changed this, I guess, so they don't get in a lot of trouble with Mont Blanc. But if you search for it, you can still find this specific one, but I've seen prices higher than 30 Canadian dollars. Recently, and the reason why I decided to do this video, I found also this fountain pen that comes with a sleeve and an actual pen for less than 5 Canadian dollars with free shipping. And look and feel is pretty much exactly the same as this one. However, for $5, I think you're actually getting a maybe better version than this fountain pen. Now, first of all, there are no brandings on this pen of any kind, and you do not get a clip, which is understandable. It's $5. And no, those are not ink windows, that's just paint on the barrel. Under the cap, you pretty much get exactly the same pen, or it's better said, exactly the same section. The only thing is you do get a more generic nib and a more generic feed. Unfortunately, whoever put this pen together did not pay attention of the feed that they used, and when you get the pen, hopefully I'll get, what happens is most probably yours will have the same issue. You will get this, you'll get split tines, which is not good. However, the issue is not because of the nib, because if I remove the nib it's actually fine, and the tines are not apart anymore. If I get it to focus, hopefully. So the issue actually is the speed, that it's not matching with the nib very well. Not a good idea to modify the nib to make it match the feed, so I'll use this as is just so you can see what kind of line you get with this pen. The only thing that you could do is maybe don't push the nib all the way down and go only deep enough so the tines don't split, and then you should be fine, most probably, somewhere like that. Or as I'll probably do, you can find a number 5 generic feed, and I'll be using, I will try and use this number 5 nib that I salvaged from another fountain pen that unfortunately I had to get rid of. Now, the benefit of this pen is that, yes, the barrel is removable, as you've seen from the beginning, and it comes with an actual nice or decent converter. And for your $5, while you're not gonna get the cool look of the snaky thing, you will definitely get pretty much the same pen for cheaper. And somehow this post actually better than the other one, even though it's still gonna backweight the pen a lot, and you're probably still not gonna like it. You'll have to hold it somewhere here to have a good balance on the pen, which is kind of weird. And these are your options. If you don't like the idea of a fountain pen that copies maybe too much out of the other pen, and it has a trap converter that there's no way you can reach it. By the way, speaking of the trap converter, I've seen some images online with somebody that was able to remove this cap and the barrel, but I've seen no explanations on how he did it. If anybody knows that, please share. What did the guy did? What kind of glue is being used? And how can we break apart free from that glue? Today I will be using the Monteverde Black Ash and some Chinese ink that I've been having it around for a long time. And I mean a long time, I think for like more than a year. First of all, the Moonman. Unfortunately, like I mentioned with the Moonman, you cannot open the barrel. So you will never know how much ink you have in your converter. You will never know when your converter starts going bad. And you will never know how much ink your converter actually holds. So I'm hoping and praying that it will hold at least enough for a drawing. So piston down basically. Go halfway to prime the feed, go back down, and then go back all the way up until all the pistons stop basically. Surprisingly, the threads actually they clean up very well with an absorbent paper towel. Just push a little bit on the threads and you will just absorb the ink. I wouldn't trust filling this pen with a carbon black ink because I have no idea how well that converter will clean or if it will even clean properly. And this one, this converter actually holds ink pretty well. A little bit of air gap in there, but that should be fine for what I need. And the threads on this one are cleaning up pretty nicely as well with an absorbent paper towel. And now going for a simple, quick writing sample. Hopefully this pen works well. I haven't tested it yet. I think this nib might benefit from a little bit of work. It's a little bit, feels a little bit dry and a little bit scratchy. Reverse doesn't seem to work at all, very scratchy. Not scratchy as in it will tear the paper apart, but scratchy. And trying out the other pen. Let's see how it's gonna work. Oh, yeah, I'll definitely have to change the ink and feed. It doesn't seem like it wants to write. I don't know if it's the ink or if it's the feed and nib. "80 songs. You gotta love the lyrics." Anyway, so I don't like this nib. I definitely hate it on this fountain pen. I'm gonna do the change and come back and show you. And hopefully the other nib will work out better. The other nib and feed. Okay, I will be right back. And I am back. The feed and nib on this pen after I change it actually is much better, much more fluid, and reverse works as well. For today's drawing, I'm gonna be drawing a another snake from my pictures. This picture was taken at the Toronto Zoo. I don't think this is a venomous snake. I do not remember the name of it. If I will find it, I will update it in on the below here below in the video. It's a very cute snake. I always took beautiful pictures from them. There are a couple of them in the same display. And well, it is going to be mostly green. I'm going to be drawing the lines with black and whatever shading I will need, but most of it will be in green. I'm not sure how this ash gray will work with the green that I have. I don't even know what kind of green that is, and hopefully though I will be able to overlap them. If not, we'll see what's going to happen. I wanted to actually draw a constrictor, an actual boa, but there's a lot of scaling on that one, and I kind of got frustrated with it, and I lost my patience. I will come back to this one. I'll keep on building the sketch in pencil until I think it's ready, and then I'll be using this for a future video. But for now, I decided to keep it very simple. Anyway, this is it. Let me get to it, and I'll see you soon with conclusions. Okay, I think I am done for tonight with this one. This was actually a lot of fun. I really enjoyed working on it. And at the end, I even grabbed a little bit of my markers and had some fun with it too. And the drawing actually turned out okay. The only thing that I think I kind of screwed up was the eye. I think I could have done a better job on it. The biggest surprise with the whole drawing for me was that I was actually able to combine these two inks without smudging. So I guess that black ash Monteverde, it's a nice. It it's pretty resistant to smudge, and especially if you come afterwards with something wet. And and the green ink, it's actually not bad. I was able to shade it a little bit. You can actually stack it and create a darker tone, which is not bad. I'll take it. Anyway, drawing aside, how did the fountain pens perform? Actually, I really enjoyed the pen, and I guess the worst part of it is that I do not know how much ink it's left in it. And one thing that I noticed is when you try to open up the barrel, try and hold it from lower, don't hold it from here by mistake. Because I almost accidentally opened the so-called piston by mistake. And that was, I'm glad I caught it quickly, otherwise it would have been interesting. The nib actually worked out pretty well. I like it how you worked on this paper. And in combination with the ink was actually not bad. Took a little bit longer to make things darker than I liked it because I had to come with extra layers, but it worked out fine actually. One thing that I noticed is when I was going too quick, and you could probably see in the strokes in there, it gets really dry, but I think for drawing it's perfect. Even for writing, I think it's okay. It's not too bad because you don't write that quick, right? And on this kind of paper, works really nice. Yeah, if you go too quick, it will start being a little bit skipping and maybe just thinning. It's like the ink doesn't keep up with it. But again, I think it will be more of a problem on drawing when you try to draw too fast. Writing should be fine. At least for me, it's definitely fine. So, pros and cons. Well, it's a good looking pen. Positive, I guess, in a way. And it's a nice homage to the Mont Blanc Rouge and Noir. And it's definitely way cheaper than that. I wish I could buy the Mont Blanc, but yeah, I don't have over $1,000 sitting around to just throw on one pen. So maybe one day I think I would probably enjoy it, but definitely not anytime soon. The other thing that I like is that it doesn't pretend to be a Mont Blanc, which is really nice. And this way, it stands by its own brand. He knows that it's a copy, and it's okay with that, and is not ashamed to put its own brand on it. Which, in a way, I kind of applaud that. This way, you're buying an homage or a copy, but at least they don't pretend to be what they copy. And that's about it for positive from my point of view. Not negatives. I think the biggest negative is that it has the trapped converter. It doesn't make sense to me. It's Okay, fine, do that system. It's okay, but at least let me get into the barrel. Let me get to the, I mean, not into the barrel, but inside the pen. Let me, give me a chance to try and change that converter if something goes wrong, or service it if it needs lubrication. I mean, converters after a while, they do need some servicing. Once that converter fails, this pen is done, which to me, that just doesn't make sense. They had the opportunity to make it better and they chose not to. And that's the biggest flaw on this pen. The good thing is though that it's a beautiful number 5 nib, and I should be able to salvage it for other pen when this one fails. It's really heavy posted and it doesn't post deep enough, but again, you probably don't want to post it because this thing moves very easily, and you could have a mess on your hands very quickly. So pay attention with that thing. And the last, I guess, sort of a negative will be that maybe the section it's a little bit too thin and slippery. But I'll be honest, once I was in the drawing, I have absolutely no issue with it, and I completely forgot about the section or the fact that it was thin. Actually, I kind of liked it because I was handling it like a pencil. That is definitely a positive in my book. So overall, I definitely like the pen and hate it at the same time, but I'm pleased with it. I'm happy. As for the other one, definitely the nib and the feed is the worst thing that you can have. I think I still have to change the nib on this one. I think the nib is a little bit too short, and as I unfortunately discovered with this nib that I changed, is that you can actually push it way too much. So I'm gonna change it with a different nib, maybe actually a Moonman nib. But other than that, this pen, it's actually just like this one without the visual effects, and you can actually see how much ink you have left, which I definitely like. Which one should you buy? Honestly, up to you. If you want the look and feel of that Montblanc, yeah, definitely this one is the best. It's the better looking one. But if you want a functional pen, but you'll probably have to change the feed and the nib, this is the better pen actually, which is kind of weird to say. I mean, you pay what, less than 5 Canadian dollars, and it comes with a sleeve. At least my pen came with a sleeve. I mean, let's be honest, you probably can find a sleeve for almost the same amount that you pay for the whole thing. So I still kind of root for this one. And with that, I think this is the end of it. Thank you for joining me. Have a good night or a good day, wherever you are, and I wish you all the best. Take care. Bye.